What's going on? What's going on, guys? It is your boy Skiiwalker the Jedi here, back with this live edition of the Sit Down with Skiiwalker the Jedi, featuring the one and only beautiful, illustrious, one of one retro nerd girl. How are you doing tonight, ma'am? Thank you so much for being here, and I appreciate you giving this platform your time, 100%.
Oh, my pleasure anytime.
Man, as for all you guys, like in Seal Nation, Cool Table Family, the Mikeyverse, the Syndicate Network, you guys could be anywhere else in the world right now, but you rocking out with us, and I appreciate you. And thank you guys for being here as well. Everybody
Oh
that is
yeah.
here live and also part of the replay crew. Make sure you drop a like, comment, subscribe, whatever you can. And thank all you guys for being here. 100%. Real quick, before we get started, I do want to let you guys know um, that I think I might hold on. You know what? Now that I think about it, I think I might have messed up in the description, but we're gonna get that sorted out. There will be a link in the description for the GoFundMe for Mikey Sutton's
Oh
family,
yeah.
uh, and we're gonna make sure that we get that fixed. And you guys can head on over there and donate if you can, or if you haven't already. Uh, Much love to all you guys that have been tapping in and been following the GoFundMe because it is very, very important that us as community members that we kind of spread the awareness for that. So real quick, much love to the chat. We got a full chat in the building.
Awesome.
We got people like Bad Dan, Music City Soul,
Hi.
Taladia Plays,
Oh my
Grogu,
God.
Brogu. I say Grogu. Brogu. Kal-El is in the building. We got James. It's a
Sweet.
full house. Marcus Sickness is in the chat.
Thanks, guys.
Douglas Murphy, Mama Bear Art Doll, classing the place up as usual. We got Nathan in the building. The Good Austin. Shouts out to the Good Austin and
Oh yeah.
the rest of the pool
Uh-huh.
table. Oh man, we
Yeah,
got
yeah.
Necron
Oh my
in
God.
here. Yeah, what's going on? Much love to all you guys. Thank you
Uh,
guys for
yeah. Thanks,
tuning in.
everybody.
Right, we got King George in the building. Much love. See, hey, they're here for you, Retro.
Ah.
They're really not here for me. Super Bowl Corey's in the building. Much love,
Wow.
all you guys. Right.
Wow.
Retro, before we get started, I wanted to let you know that, I've been wanting to have this conversation with you for quite some time
Ah.
uh, because I'm a big fan of your platform. And one of the things that I'm looking to do with this sit down series is really just kind of highlight people that I think are dope and that, I think that people should be paying more attention to their platform. So, much love and thank you for being here a whole bunch, whole bunch.
Oh man. You guys are just awesome. Oh look, Leon. Hey. Haven't seen
The
you in a
whole
long time.
the whole cool table's here. So this is
Man.
the we
Oh,
got.
yeah.
Well, look, we ain't gonna forget about you, Bishop. We got
Yes.
Bishop in the building.
Bishop.
Much, much love. Ain't no, we can't forget about the Bishop.
Oh no, 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 no. We need the bishop. We need the bishop.
We definitely need the bishop, right? So yes, let's tap in with the sponsors real quick, and then we'll be back, and we'll get started with this interview because I can't wait to have this conversation.
Steppenwolf, have you begun the conquest?
Yeah. Have you begun the conquest, right?
Right, 50 likes per stream. That is the conquest, always and forever. Right, 100%. Retro. Oh my goodness. So let's get started. First thing that I want to ask you is about your backstory, just a little bit. I want you to let the people know a bit about you, like where are you from, right? How did you come up with your YouTube name, right? Let's just get into that a little bit, real quick.
Well, I was born and raised in New York City, um, but um, I guess it's a long story, but I ended up in North Dakota.
Mhm.
And so while here, I've always been interested in art and creativity, and I've always wanted to do a movie, and I have like 4 or 5 different stories that eventually I want to get done in some capacity. But what I was thinking about trying to do those stories, but what happened was that, you know, there are so many barriers to do the kind of stories I want to do, which was like science fiction, and you're dealing with like high budgets and high concepts.
Mhm.
So I was like, well, how do I, bring it back down to a smaller level? So I was trying to look at a lot of movies and see what was it about those movies that I really loved. And in the process of doing that, I started analyzing story, analyzing movies, and I just was like, okay, since I'm doing all of this stuff, why don't I start up a YouTube channel and do that? Meanwhile, I've already had some other YouTube channels that I had been doing some random stuff on, not really like focusing on those channels, but just playing around, having fun, um, doing some interesting videos and things like that,
Mhm.
creative stuff. And
I
then
actually follow both those channels too. I actually follow both of them, or
oh yeah,
two. I don't know if it's more than two. Is it more
there's
than
more,
two?
there's more than two.
Wait, two others than your main one, the retro nerd girl, right?
Right, yeah, yeah. Well,
Or is
there's
there
two
more
other
than two
ones.
more?
There's actually, yeah, there's more than two more. I tried a
O-
lot of channels.
Okay, yeah, I
Uh,
follow two of them, so
yeah,
yeah.
it's just like I was experimenting and trying different things, and for some reason, with the retro nerd girl, I was already um I have another channel, it's just Feltus Angel, which is just me, and then it it turned into something more when I was like, okay, what am I gonna build this show about, doing movie reviews? And so I was gonna do that on that channel, and I realized that's not gonna make sense for people who already follow me, and it will kind of lock that channel into something else. So I just said, why don't we just start over fresh? And I came up with the name Retro Nerd Girl, and I got found a way to create like a whole like story behind her, and did the avatar, and
Mhm.
just trying to like sculpt like something a little bit more like an experience. So I started out with the from a galaxy far, far, way
Right,
kind of
yeah,
thing, where
from
it
the
kind of
far
build
reaches of
into
the
this.
Milky Way galaxy.
Yeah, so just to build up that story and have like a nice closing. Let's see you in the next video. Like I wanted to create like an experience, and um uh it took some while. It took a while. It took like a good 6 months, I would say, for me like to plan out how I was gonna do it. Because when I was reviewing, I had to like create exactly how I wanted the sections, how I was gonna rate movies, how I was gonna like it was all gonna mathematically turn out to be 10 at the end if everything was perfect. And
Mm.
just like figuring out how I wanted to rate those movies, like how it was gonna make sense for me and the breakdowns. And I think it's perfect for me right now. I mean, it doesn't work for everybody, right? But it works for me in the way um, I like to rate movies, and a big portion of it is entertainment. Like, did I really feel entertained by that whatever it was? So that could mean that a movie that had a big production value, that was made by a big studio would probably get a 10 if it did everything right. But
Hmm.
also, it gives the opportunity for a small B movie to get a lot of points for like maybe creating a great story, entertaining me, and making me feel something for the content. Even though it may not have like the best actors, the best lighting, special effects, that kind of stuff. So it was uh, kind of interesting to start to put that together, and also one of the things that helped me to kind of create the channel was looking at um, uh, other content channels that were doing similar things to what I was doing, and some of the channels that were doing the complete opposite but the same genre. Like they were reviewing movies, but they were doing it in a way I didn't want to do it.
Hmm.
Um, time of that I did it too, there were a lot of channels that were one of the main reasons why I felt like I had to do my channel was that there were a lot of channels that were taking movies like Masters of the Universe, um,
Okay.
and really poo-pooing on it, if you will. Like, and
Yeah. Right.
I was like, okay, I get it. I get why you would do something like that, but also, um, like if there is something entertaining about it, especially if
Yeah.
you're okay with certain things. Like if you're not okay with those things, that's fine. Like, but I think for me, it was like one of my guilty pleasures. And so it's
Hmm.
like, why don't I do the opposite of what those guys are doing and just tell people about all the things I absolutely love about this movie, even though it's very niche. Like not that many people will probably join me and say, "Yeah, I feel the same way too." But at the same time, it is an option out there besides the negative rhetoric. There's positive.
Absolutely.
So I wanted to be that El Necron. That is so sweet. um, it's like it's really important for me to like um, to make my reviews about things that I love. That's why I don't do reviews on everything because I don't always love everything.
Right. Oh. Oh yeah. That is important to kind of keep that under control, so to speak. Right.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. It's crazy because I'm sitting here listening to you speak, and I've been thinking, uh, do you think that you growing up in New York, do you think that that had any kind of impact on your love for film? Like, how did that affect you growing up? You being in the East Coast, kind of like in NY. I mean, it's like a real hotbed of stuff, right? Of a whole lot going on, and there's all these moving parts. So, do you think that that had any part in shaping, your love for certain films, or no?
It may have, but I think that the real love for this comes from the original retro nerd girl, my mom.
Okay.
I call her I thank you,
The
Leon.
OG
Isn't it
retro.
amazing that movie? Oh gosh. The original retro nerd girl, my mom she was very instrumental in making sure at least at one point of my life that I saw like almost all of the movies that were coming out in the early 80s, even like
Mhm.
late 70s. So we saw all of this really cool movies that were coming out at that time. And I was a kid, but I was able to pick up on all of that stuff really easy. And my mom had a way of, I was a kid, and she was my mom, but she also talked to me a little bit like a grown up, a little bit. Like we'd have grown up conversations, um, so I knew a lot about life and and things that were in movies too that maybe other kids didn't know. And we'd have very like intellectual talks we were when I was just a kid. So she was very much about that. And at home, we'd always sit down and watch movies together. Like we'd watch a lot of TCM or Turner Broadcasting channel stuff and PBS. We'd watch just all sorts of interesting old movies. We'd watch when my mom, sometimes as a kid, your parents would go to bed like early, and you'd be able to stay up late. Well, I watched all those late night movies, and they were great because they were always like some weird movie that you'd never, you never saw before. And all of that, I think that was more of an influence, my home upbringing rather than the outer influence. Because there's so much to do out in New York. So I don't think there was any one thing that was saying, "Hey, pay attention to this." It was just everything.
Right. Oh man, yeah. I actually lived in New York for a few months. It was definitely an experience,
Oh
and,
yeah.
and
Story time.
I ended up coming right back to California. Right. I was like, oh my goodness, this is crazy. It's like the exact opposite of California. Even yeah. But you spoke earlier about it being like very important to you to kind of bring positivity into spaces where a lot of times there can be a lot of negativity going on, right? Where do you think that the personal journey for you came from to like actually go through that process, and why is that important to you as a content creator?
Well, I think at some point in my life, I made a decision that whatever I was doing at the time wasn't I wasn't following my instincts as being I know it sounds really weird, a good person. So I had like a moral upgrade, if you will, where I was like, okay, I'm gonna try to do things the right way. It's not a science or anything. It's not perfect, but I have to like feel like, okay, this feels like the right thing to do. So I was I think around 2012, there were a lot of movie channel or movie review channels that were all about the negativity. Like even the ones that weren't touting themselves about that, they would like parody movies and seem to not even seem to not even know, like understand what those movies they were parodying was actually about. I'm like, did you guys watch the same movie I watched? Like I see like something completely different. So then I was like,
Oh
okay, for
yeah, I
sure.
definitely have felt that on more than a few occasions, right? Like there's some movies that people just make fun of, and I'm like, I don't get it. Like I thought this movie was 10 out of 10. And it's like we just didn't seem to watch the same thing.
Yeah, or I think also too there's been like maybe one or two times when I did not like a movie and somebody else explained like their point of view why they liked it, and I was like, oh, okay. That helped me to see the movie in a different way. Isn't like now my favorite. No, but it's like just getting that little extra bit of information helps me enjoy the movie more. And so I always think that's always better than not enjoying the movie at all and not understanding what's actually going on. So yeah, that was one of the things I wanted to be a different voice out there for people to hear. But also, I felt really compelled to do it because I really wasn't seeing enough like people who really did love movies out there. Like I was like, do you love
Right.
movies? It's like, because I think a lot of people watch movies because somebody makes them watch movies, or like a lot of critics unfortunately have to watch those movies in order for their jobs, for sure. So they
Yes,
don't,
yes.
a lot of times they'll just be
Content creators, yep. These online critics, yep. They have to watch this stuff to be
yeah,
able to make their content, you know.
yeah. And I was noticing there were a lot of movies that I watched and I was like, that is not accurate to, the movie, or they went a little bit too far trashing on the movie because it was cool to do it. One movie was Gods of Egypt. Now, I can see many reasons why people wouldn't like that movie, but it seemed like everyone came out of the woodwork that weren't even content creators, to just rip that movie to shreds. And I was like, I saw it, and it was an okay movie. It wasn't bad in my opinion. It wasn't great. It was okay. And so I noticed like, oh, okay, so this is a thing. If you are being hyperbolic about something, or you rant about something, it's definitely going to get you clicks and views and things like that.
Absolutely, absolutely, right. Um, I want to ask you something because spoke about like just something sparking in you to kind of start doing this. Do you remember like the exact moment that you decided to become a content creator, or when you like finally figured it out? Because I kind of remember mine, but I just wanted to know if you could actually recall that moment when you had like had it and was like, okay, I'm sick of this. I have to get my own voice out there too.
Well, I mean, to be very honest, I've always wanted to do something like this. Ever since YouTube came out, I wanted to be
Mm,
on YouTube. I,
right.
I, it was really interesting because I had I wanted to just do it. Well, that was like what, 2004, 2006, something like that, where I was like, oh, I really like this platform. It would be fun to do videos on it. And the way YouTube was set up back then was like you could do a 3-minute video, and that was it. And it could go viral, or you could get a decent amount of people watching that content, and it would be there forever. But the thing is that um I didn't have the life to do that at the time. Like I was busy. I had something was going on, just didn't work out. But it was it was always fun to play on YouTube at least. So I'd always be playing on YouTube, and I made like some short films that were like silly and fun. And I was really wanted to do that project um, that I was planning on doing. That was the maybe short film or feature film. Wasn't sure exactly how I was going to do it, but I was thinking maybe I could do 3-minute videos. And I even have like I have a trailer and one episode up, and then things, with life just fell apart, so that never did continue. But then
Mm.
I came up with another idea. I was like, okay, well, I could continue it, but I'll do it in a different way. So I'm working on the different way.
Right. Man, that's dope. For those of you guys that don't know, I am like the hugest fan of Retro's content. I love her deep dives into films. Can you speak a bit about like what makes your deep dives different in your uh, opinion, right? And also, like, how do you approach making your content? Uh, and just what are you trying to get across with each video that you do like these deep dives on?
Oh, yeah. It's really interesting because each one is different, and when I look at the movie, I really want to know if there's a message that's really strong coming through. Um, and if there's any moral messages that maybe somebody's trying to impart onto the audience, or just exposing an idea. Because sometimes some movies, they're not really trying to tell you anything. They're just trying to show you something, and it's
Mm,
like, oh, okay, that's interesting. And how also to a movie makes you feel, because uh there are some movies that tap into something very, very primal, whether it be in a drama or adventure. But then there are some movies like Logan's Run or Planet of the Apes, that challenges your perception of society, and your perception of things like age or race, um, or just like how we treat animals. Like, it's really like weird how uh, these stories can actually show us. They mirror humanity, but also they give us something else to concentrate on, as far as like you have your own life, you have your own, the things that are going on in your life. This is some other thing that's happening out there in movie land. So it's in a way, you're detached from it, but at some point your emotions come together to meet with the movie, and it's like for a few moments you're not in your life, and you're escaping into this
mhm,
other world, whether it be a dystopian world where there's hellfire all around, or it's a love story, or a comedy. You get to escape from for a few moments into something else. I mean, sort of like, even like video games do this too, where you're immersed into this world. And I just love that. I think I love the talking about the feelings that are associated with films and movies, and how also to the characters behave in those movies. So I guess eventually I will uncover the perfect way to tell a story.
mhm. It's funny because you just spoke about being transported to all these different worlds and things like that. Is it safe to say that sci-fi is probably like your favorite
Oh
genre
yeah.
of film?
Oh
All right.
yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So, what is it about sci-fi, particularly, that really draws you into the genre, and what do you think makes it your favorite, right? And like, what separates it from films of other genres, in your opinion?
Well, for me, sci-fi is the either the your nightmare, or it's the world you wish that we could have, like the future. It's the idea of a future world where we can like get on a spaceship and go to a different planet if we want to, and we can hang out on the moon for like as if it was like Las Vegas or something.
Mhm.
We could have adventures on Mars, searching for treasure. Things like that. It just feels like a vast open space where there's lots of room to imagine. Uh, and the thing about sci-fi is that every other genre can also hang out in that world. Westerns,
Mm,
noir, horror.
good point.
So it's a more encompassing type of genre where you can do a lot with it, you know. So you can, and especially fantasy and sci-fi together, perfect.
Right. Man, can you talk about some of your favorite sci-fi films? What's your favorite era of sci-fi movies?
Ooh, that's a
Yeah.
loaded question. Well, I really
That's what we're
loved,
here to do. We are here to ask loaded questions.
yeah. Sci-fi, I would say, there I do like the earlier sci-fi eras, like 50s, 70s, 80s, definitely. Uh, 90s, not so much, except for the late 90s, and I think the 2000s had some good ones. So probably the those eras. The 1950s was just groundbreaking, with so many different sci-fi movies that kind of emerged around that time. It became a schlock genre where they just did all kinds of silly movies that were um, that were just
Yeah.
hilarious, but also it was they were experimenting with new things. They were developing more science special effects. So those movies were, you see the special effects aren't as great as it is today. They were still pushing the boundaries because they were trying to create these other worlds and these, incredible places, but they didn't have our technology, so they did the best that
Absolutely
they
right.
can. Yeah.
Right.
And
Yeah.
one of my favorite sci-fi movies of all time is definitely the one, Metropolis, and I believe that's 1927, and the work that was done in that movie is just insanely good, and it has inspired almost all the sci-fi noir movies, including Blade Runner. It's just an incredible epic as well. So,
Yeah. I also think that, a lot of the things that came out of those movies back then came from just how society was at that time too. They were always thinking about the future, right? Everything was about the right, like the home of the future, the car of the
hmm
future,
yeah,
the
the 50s they
like
were really doing it.
right, yeah, all these different things, and so I think that led to a lot of the creativity because it was in like the entire country. Everybody was kind of focusing on the future, right? And that
Mhm.
kind of led to some of these stories being focused on that. I mean, am I kind of off with that, or
No, 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 no. You're totally right. A lot of really great concepts for the future did come from the 50s and the 60s as well. And then with the 70s, they just improved on, like, some of the incredible sci-fi art from the 70s is just like so mind-blowing. And I think we like lost a little bit of that. Because the great illustrators of those days, like we like do we don't even really have that many like famous illustrators today, like we used to,
mm,
that used to do things like that. So maybe a lost art form, but there's still some images out there that they're working on. I hope we don't depend on Mid Journey and all those uh, AI resources to come up with the art for us.
oh, I mean, absolutely not. Uh, Oh man, that that's actually like a great point. With you having such a love, right, for um the retro film
Yeah.
genres, right, and like with the current advent of like AI kind of coming into films and things like that, and we seem to be losing a lot of that. I would almost call it like a tactile feel when it comes to a lot of these films.
Mm-hmm.
What's your take on that? The whole like, AI versus human thing, because I think it's an interesting debate, especially with what's going on with the current SAG-AFTRA strike and the
Oh
things
yeah.
of that nature.
Um, I think it's case by case for different
Mm-hmm.
things because I see the benefits of having a tool like that because there's lots of things you can do digitally that can clean up any issues that you may have with any of your practical things. And so if you have an image that needs that maybe needs a little fixing, a little movement here and there, or you have a few frames of a film that may need a little touch up, I think that's those aspects are really great. Um, if you need concept art, I think that you have an idea for something, and you need to actually build it out in a 3D platform or something. I think that's really great too. For some of the bigger, like if you have the bigger scale things, I think I'll be okay with a CGI backdrop or something like that. But I think for if you're having your actors actually interact with something in a scene intimately, I think that needs to be a practical thing. And they've done that where they've done a mixture of practical and then throw on digital effects on top. Sometimes it looks great, sometimes not so much. So it is really about knowing when to use it, when not to use it, and to use it sparingly if possible, but only use it when it's needed.
I agree.
Because I think if like they'll just have like one person in a green screen and they just fill the entire thing up with fake objects, and I think sometimes lighting doesn't always match up. Something gets a little weird. Um, uh, just I need for me visually, I can always spot when things are just too much, and I think people are able to see that with their own eyes. So
Mhm.
I'm a big fan of practical, but I understand that if it's at all possible to do practical, do practical, but use very little digital as possible. I mean, Oppenheimer is a great example of a movie that didn't, um,
Absolutely.
and so did, and believe it or not, Barbie didn't have um, those. Even the backgrounds were matte paintings,
Hmm.
old school, and it looked great. It looked great. I mean, they didn't. Everything looked very realistic and actual, like it actually was there. So that's
Yeah,
where the eye is still picking up on things like that.
absolutely. Yeah, and it's really a thing too with the uncanny valley, right? When they're
Oof,
trying to do too much with human characters as well,
yeah,
because it just really becomes kind of it can break the suspension of disbelief, right? So
yes.
uh, that is definitely true in that case. Going back to the retro films, can you speak to some of your favorite directors from some of these past eras, and just speak on like how their films impacted you personally?
Um, I guess that you can say that I'm not much of a director um person.
Okay.
You know what I mean? But there are, of course, some great ones out there, and they're not all science fiction genre. Um, if there are like specific directors that I am big fans of, is like Hitchcock, really amazing.
Mm.
I mean, it's probably some people would say he was pretentious, but I don't think he was. I liked his work a lot, um, and I liked his drama. I liked the way he was very dramatic, even in his when in his own presentation, he was very dramatic.
Mhm.
Um, Another director. I mean, right now, I think um, it's all the list of directors everybody always talks about. Steven Spielberg is pretty amazing. Um, uh, Definitely what he did with Jaws is something I'm just like, how did you do that again? He's just incredible talent, and Close Encounters of the Third Kind, E.T., all those movies there's very something similar in all those movies. And once you see it, you're like, oh, that's a Steven Spielberg thing.
Mhm.
So the way he brings the camera right close up into the actor's face, and kind of lets them emote. And there are just a lot of really cool things that he's able to do, and what he did with Indiana Jones in the first three movies was incredible.
Yeah.
And that is one amazing franchise from I would say the first three movies. Uh,
Yeah.
and
Absolutely.
yeah, I mean, just hands down, I think he's in my like in his prime. I think he really had uh, just some amazing skills. Uh, but
That really kind of crossed all genres too, almost, right? It was pretty
mhm.
much like he could do whatever and make like god tier film. You know what I'm saying?
Oh
As
yeah,
far as
yeah,
like,
yeah.
you know,
Yeah, he
suspense and
really,
horror, adventure, right? Sci-fi. It really just didn't matter.
yeah, yeah. Um, he did have that, and then he also, a lot of his side things, like I think he would had a hand in a lot of different movies that he wasn't really like officially the director on. And
Hmm.
I believe Gremlins might have been one of them. Um,
Yeah.
he just had a way of knowing when something was going to be successful. So
Didn't they say he like shadow directed Poltergeist as well?
I heard that too. Yeah, I haven't researched it, but yeah, I heard that. He has a big hand to do with Poltergeist, um, which it's been a long time since I've seen Poltergeist. Um, I probably need to look at it one more time to make any comments on it.
Right.
Um, but yeah, there are some. Like I said, I'm not really a big director person, but of course, everyone does know that I do have an incredible love for Zack Snyder. So just think that's out of a more modern day, but I do love his style. And after seeing Oppenheimer, I'm definitely thinking Nolan is just like on another level. Um, he's definitely got something very special. Um, and anyone else that I can think of that's really no. I mean, I'm like when we talk about that, there are certain like filmmakers, people who were responsible for making
Mm,
genre films that I really adore, like Ray Harryhausen.
mm,
Okay, Roger Corman.
mhm,
B movies was his specialty, and he was, it just how many people he actually helped to uh, get work. So, now they're like big stars, but he started a lot of careers in Hollywood. So that's really kind of like the kind of people I kind of look at and go like, wow, what a dynamic individual.
Right. Man, okay, now look, don't feel no pressure, right? Because I'm
Okay.
here. But if you had to pick a favorite director, you know what I'm saying, who would it actually be?
A
But no
favorite
pressure.
director?
Yes, if you had to pick, because you've been naming some great names, but we got to get to the nitty gritty. Who is Retro's favorite if she
Oh.
had to pick?
Uh, this is hard.
Hey,
Um,
we broke Retro, guys.
you broke it. You broke me. I'll say Steven for now, and we'll
Steven,
pencil it.
okay.
Yeah, we'll put a pencil. We'll pencil that in. Um, but there, I didn't even mention Robert Wise
Oh my goodness.
or Paul Verhoeven. Like those, he's like
Mm.
insanely good. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, Cronenberg, Carpenter. Yeah, these are all amazing directors. But yeah, I would say Steven for now.
Man, this is great. I am having so much fun. Especially since we just broke retro. That's
You
the
did.
first time
I was
I've
like,
been.
I cannot compute. We're
Yeah,
doing.
right. Oh no. I'm also gonna ask you the big question before we get on out of here, and that might break you as well. But
Oh
we're
no.
gonna hold off before
Okay.
that one right now too. But uh would you wait, where does horror kind of rank on your list of like
Oh
films
my.
that you love to watch?
I hate to say this, but I'm a punk, so
Oh,
I don't like horror that much.
oh my God.
Yeah,
She said, I'm a
I'm
little pun.
yeah. Well, I'm kind of okay with some horror, like American Werewolf in London. I love
Okay.
that movie. Okay. Um, that's probably my favorite horror movie. The Exorcist, Carrie,
Mm.
another, well, not, I would say go back a little, let's see, Christine. I love that movie.
Mhm.
Christine is amazing.
I was watching you, uh, Mikey, and Necron talk about that movie,
Ah,
right?
yes.
And that's your favorite Carpenter movie, right?
Yes, that's my favorite Carpenter movie.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
all right,
definitely my
so
favorite.
for
And
those
he's
out
done
there
so
that
many.
haven't seen Christine, right? What is it about Christine
Oh,
that really just did it for you?
okay. There's a couple of things for Christine. One, the main character, Arnie, is a very like a small framed guy that is getting bullied at school, and he is just got a rotten relationship with his family, and is just struggling at life in general. And there was something about him that I could identify with when I was about the age when that came out. And
Mm,
it was like I was going through my teenage years, and of course, at school was not being, I was kind of an outsider weirdo girl who liked dragons and Star Wars, like, who the heck is this girl? And also,
little teenage retro. That's crazy.
oh yeah, total nerd and geek, and um so he's pretty much that character. Like like I had a lot in common with that, except for he had a horrible like home life as well, but I didn't have that problem. But otherwise it was really like that for me, except um with the movie they kind of up the ante with having the bullies pull out a knife on this kid. I was like, oh my God. So immediately the tensions are up high. You know, something's gonna go wrong, something bad is gonna happen. Also, the whole story around this car, like being bad at birth. And so the first song that comes out when she's being put together is Bad to the Bone. And I'm like, yes. Yes. It was great. And then the entire story is also framed around the music that is being played. So the car itself plays music communicating to humans what she's thinking, or communicating to the audience what she's thinking. And so every time there's a song playing, whatever the song is that's playing is telling you what she's thinking. It's like, wow, this is so creative. I love it. Also, the bad guys get their comeuppance so so badly. Like it's like, I feel no sympathy for you. Go get him, Christine. And it's like really, really awesome. Also, Arnie's transformation. That's another thing that's like, it's what I think a nerdy kid would love to do, is to transform themselves into somebody cool, and he does. And it's like, uh, and you're rooting for him, but then it takes a turn where he starts to become evil, like embody some really evil thoughts, and you're like, whoa, 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 I don't know if I can get behind this character.
Right.
So I love that play with that. They gave Arnie an arc, but then reversed it, or changed it into something that you were like, oh, he's gone off the deep end. He's no longer Arnie anymore. And just love the way that was told. And the special effects with the car, it holds up. The car like being completely destroyed, and Arnie says, show me, what you can do. And it starts like deflating or uninflating itself, and it's like gets to be back to normal again. And it's like, wow, that is, I don't know what they did to create that. I know it must have been really tough to do, because it looks great. It looks incredible. And it holds up. I don't think it would have held up if it wasn't, if it was done it with CGI. I think it's a movie you can look at now and you still go, wow, that was real. Also, it was also done with editing too, so it was skillfully edited.
Oh yeah, and I can recall myself kind of making a little mini movie in junior high school and trying to
Ooh.
figure out all that stuff about like how I was gonna make things look. Yeah, because we had a project that we had to like do like a deep dive on a planet, and like each group kind of had their own like planet to look into. And so yeah, I had Jupiter, and yeah, we were just doing like this deep dive, and like we were acting like we actually like flew to Jupiter, and we were walking around
Oh,
interviewing
cool.
people, and it was like pretty crazy. And uh I had to create like a rocket taking off and landing and things like that, and like having sulfur, and yeah, like it was just wild. So yes, figuring out those things can definitely be tricky. And that was on a little bitty tiny scale, right? And that had I mean, that was nothing like a lot of these bigger budget projects, which I'm sure coming up with some of these effects must be pretty tricky.
Yeah, yeah. Wow, that sounds really cool. Do you still have that?
Oh, of course not. No, no, no,
Why not?
no.
What happened?
No, because it was on like a camcorder, and I had edited it in like a certain way, and yeah, that tape. I have no idea what happened to it. I have no idea what happened to it. But there's no way that that thing would ever see the light of day. Like
Oh
our
man.
our space suits was made out of like these like trash bags, and we had like cut them up and put them. It was crazy.
Oh my God, it sounds really cool actually.
It was yeah, it was pretty crazy. So you spoke about wanting to do your own projects and things like that, right? Um can you speak about just some of the other things that you have like planned for the future of your platform and things that you really want to get done, and just like what's really driving you to continue going forward making this great content that you've been making.
Well, right now, I am working on doing a web series eventually. There's two of them that I'm actually working on simultaneously, but they're going to be done with 1/6 scale dolls that are articulated. So that's going to take some time, but it's going to be a lot of fun for me. Even if I don't make the movie, at least I'll have a lot of fun doing that. But we're
Let me know if you need a voice actor. I will
okay.
most definitely come through and give you some lines.
Yeah, so that's something I'm working on, but I have no ETA on that. It's just going to be something I feel out, but I'm always working towards it. Um, and there may be some other things that I may want to do, but I'm gonna reserve to just work on building my channel, which is basically reviews and content for members, which I have some really good videos that I need to put out for my members, and just continue to do live streams. I feel like I'm building a really amazing community of people who are like really support the channel, almost like there are some people that are there like every single stream
Yeah.
and just giving me that love and support, and I want to in turn make sure I have something for them too, so I can continue to have that be like a safe place where people can talk about the retro stuff that we like to talk about, and that'd be great for me for now and continue to grow the channel. I am My channel does grow very slowly because it is a niche channel, and so it doesn't have a wide variety of people like, oh my god, I gotta see this new review of this thing. But I think there are a lot of people who are like, okay, your latest review, my gosh, I didn't know about this movie, and I'm gonna go see it. I'm gonna find a way to see it, and those kinds of things just make me feel like, wow, I'm actually helping someone to see something new and introducing a new concept to somebody, um, and possibly brightening up their life, like their world for a few minutes before like they have to go back to work or take care of kids or do the everyday stuff. Like it's a few minutes where somebody um, can just let down their defenses a little bit and just enjoy the content, and that's what I am hoping that my channel can do for now. That's the main goal, is to just provide
Right.
that. Yeah. um
You spoke about giving people a new perspective or possibly like helping them see new films and things of that nature. You also can make somebody who is familiar with certain films feel like they haven't even seen them, right? So because I'm dead serious, and I will always like the moment that I realized like how dope your channel actually was when I saw your Fifth Element breakdown. Because I've seen that movie so many times, and I was like, yo, I literally felt like I had never seen it before after watching that video. And so I was like, yo, this is a very special channel, right? And yeah, for you to be able to give me that feeling, it was super dope as well, just personally. So
Yeah.
you absolutely do give people those feelings, and it's your feelings are very warranted in that regard.
Thank you. Oh my God. Yeah, I hope to do that. That's why sometimes it takes me a long time to write the scripts for those videos. I mean, sometimes it takes me like 6 months, a year, or whatever. But it's like to get. I don't want to just say, "Oh yeah, the movie was great," especially when the explosion went off, and oh, that's fun, and there were, I want to be able to say, um, to point out like certain story details that, especially um, uh, things that may not be open, like available to just the movie. Because one review I did recently where I surprised myself was um, the review I did for Willow. I found out like this whole nother backstory to Queen Bavmorda that I was like, what? I had no idea what was going on there, and her relationship with Sorsha, and how that all played together in the story. But a lot of that we didn't even get to see because the movie, I guess, they had to cut some scenes out of the
Yeah.
movie, but it was definitely there for us. If it, it was actually baked into the story. It's just that there was not enough time to tell everything, every aspect of the story. And whether that makes the story better for somebody knowing the background or not, um, is is up to each person, right? But then what is there, like, was it good enough for you to really like it? And I kind of talk about that too, like just exploring like the characters and how unconventional the story is set up instead of just following one person as sort of the we do follow Willow, but there's so many other characters around him,
Mhm.
and that support his journey, and all those other characters also have journeys too. So it's like, wow, we're getting like a good, a juicy like storyline for all of these characters in this movie, and I think that's why it feels so satisfying at the end. We get closure for everybody, and just there is uh, a great feeling all around, and I think that's another thing I'm also curious about, like how movies like that do leave you with the feeling of feeling satisfied at the end of it, though you can still make more content. It didn't have to only be one movie, right? And that was it, but it had a way of closing off um, that chapter, like the first Star Wars, 1977 had it had a beginning, middle, end. It felt like
Yeah.
it was the end,
Yeah.
but of course
Absolutely did.
you could add more to the story, but it felt so satisfying that last little
You
bit.
fought in the Clone Wars, right? You have moments like that where it's like, wait a minute, what the hell? Like, what the hell is the Clone Wars, right?
Yeah,
And then you end up getting an answer to that decades later,
yeah,
right?
but it wasn't so
100%.
strong of a moment in which it sidetracked
Right?
everything in
Yes.
the story.
Yes.
Like, you
Exactly.
knew it was just a piece of a of dialogue that could mean something more, but it didn't stop you from enjoying everything else. So that's a talent to be able to do that because, uh, not many, um, not much content can figure out how to make the correct balance of introducing a thing, but also not saying, "Hey, well, this is the main thing that you need to be concentrated on."
Right.
Oh,
Much love
thank
to
you,
Bishop.
Bishop. Thank you.
Bishop came through with the $2 super chat saying much love to
Oh,
you, Sky and Retro. Retro's getting love over here on this
oh,
platform
really? Oh
because
my
we have love
God.
for Retro. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna hit the homie Bishop with this drop real quick.
Oh, what a scene. Love that scene.
Right?
It
Hey,
just was,
it's very powerful, right? Especially the smile
yeah,
right
the
before.
smile.
Yeah.
Ah,
Oh man, that's like I believe that's like the first time that you see him smile at Cyborg the
mhm.
entire movie.
Ah, I love that movie so much. Ah,
Super,
anyway.
super dope, right? So yes, but I wanted to ask you, because you spoke earlier about how you've been loving this community that you've been building, right? And you recently, I believe it was earlier this year, right? You made the transition from just doing the kind of like the retro deep dives, right? The pre-recorded stuff into
Yep.
doing live streams,
Mhm.
right? Can you speak about like what brought about that change and how have you been enjoying what you've been doing with the live content versus your pre-recorded stuff?
Well, I've been really looking at live streams, wanting to start one since the pandemic. Kind of was looking at it and was like, should I do it or not? Um, I didn't know about StreamYard uh, just about then yet. But I heard of some other ways of doing it. I was researching it, just never felt right, never felt like it was going to work for me, um, based on my technical um, setup back then. Um, so uh, it was something I was always dancing around. Also, I was watching a lot of live streams and taking down notes on things that was going on in live streams that I liked and things I didn't like. Um, and so I I was doing like what Mikey was. I was taking notes. I was watching and
Right.
taking notes. Um, and I had
I
been
hope
on.
I didn't give you any bad habits. Like it's just like, oh my god, I'm
No,
watching this.
no, no, no.
He's
You're
like con. Yeah, he's
like,
just right. Oh god.
no, 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 no. Your streams are actually really, really, really good. Because if you notice your streams, you do like an incredible numbers on your streams. Absolutely. So, yeah, I know I lurk and I watch these things. I analyze. I'm like this. Um, so your streams are amazing. You get more people watch your streams, um, more and more, like the interactive ability. Like I've seen people who have like 13,000 subscribers and they may have like 10 people on a stream. And and it's there's nothing wrong with that. It seems like, just like about 10 um, people are interested in what they're, at the time or whatever. Maybe they didn't, prepare long enough or whatever. But I think there is something to your streams where people are wanting to see them. They're wanting to hear you. You're charismatic in front of the camera, and your topics are are what people want to see. So I think there's a lot going on your streams that.
Hey, y'all couldn't see me start blushing. I had to get off camera for a second.
It's true, and I was watching a lot of live streams, and I started to, and this is not like, doesn't mean like what I picked away from those live streams mean that you're going, it's a successful live streams. These are just things I picked up that I felt like this live stream really made me feel special. This one, I didn't really feel, like I was included. Because there's a lot of times when you go to live streams and it is a live stream, but you could actually watch it later when it's not a live stream, because it doesn't matter if you're there or not. But then there are some where there is like this interaction, which I would say Still Abdul's channel is so good for that. He reads your comments and actually highlights what you have to say, or says, like, hey, I like what you're saying here. And so I only started watching his channel because it was like the timing was so weird. I was looking for somewhere where they were going to be talking about where people were talking like positively about the situation with Warner Brothers Warner Media at the time, and Zack Snyder. And at the time, there was really no hope. There really wasn't. And
Yeah,
I bumped
absolutely.
into this channel where this guy is saying, you know what, I see all this stuff, but maybe it's possible. We have to really look at this. And I was like, yes, okay, thank you. And so every time he would say that, say something, I was always like, absolutely. I would be talking to the screen. And so I started like actually leaving comments, and he, mentioned my name a couple of times, and I was like, wow, and actually had me come on his stream. So when he asked me to come on his stream, it was the first time I'd ever done live. And at the time I wasn't showing my face, it was just my avatar.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we did that,
I remember the retro face reveal.
yes.
I remember both times. The one where you showed the picture very quickly on a live stream, or on that video, and when you did your first live stream, and you
Okay, yes,
like,
you know,
yes, hey, I do know.
yeah, when I did that show with him, it clicked on me like, okay, so he's using StreamYard. So I had gotten to see the format it was using, and I did a lot of research into StreamYard after that, like trying to figure out, okay, so how do you use this program or whatever. But it never really seemed to work out, or it never seemed to click exactly. So the seeds were in there, and several months later, I talked to the Bat channel. They had me on their channel, and I think after one of the streams, we had a good conversation, and they said, yeah, we can show you how to use it. And I was like, oh, what? And so Superboard Corey and Trey, really gave me a wonderful tutorial on how to use StreamYard. It was the way they taught me was like so simple. I was like, oh, why didn't I figure this out? But it was, I guess they were just really great teachers. Um, so once that happened, I think I talked to you like about a week or so later, and I said, "Look, I'm doing this thing." Um, we I think we were on a stream, and I think it was like after stream, and I said, "I'm doing this thing. Can you be my accountability partner and make sure I get it done?" And then you were like, "Yes."
Yeah, absolutely. I do remember that conversation. And I remember putting it in my calendar immediately. I was like, I gave you the deadline. I was like, Retro better go live. And that's
Yeah.
literally what it said in my calendar. I said, Retro better go live. And I was counting down the days. 100%.
Yeah, and I beat the heck out of that date like crazy, and I
Yes, you
was like,
did.
"Okay,
Yes, you did.
we're gonna get this done by the first, week of January." I think it was like the first week or maybe the second week,
You had
and
until the end of the month to go
yeah,
live, and you ended up going live like it was like the middle of the month, maybe like or that first or second week.
it was probably the second week, um,
Yeah.
and it was like just, it was a lot of preparation, lots of stuff to do, but, once I did that first live show, I was thinking like, okay, well, maybe I won't do any more. But I was like, no, like you can't just do it. You're gonna lose all the skills you just learned, right? And just like continue to do this, and build up the skill, even if it's awkward, or if you have stage fright or whatever. Because I had intense stage fright the first time and a couple other times after. Um, but uh, it, it it like going through the stage fright was really interesting because once the camera was on and I was talking to people, it all that vanished and it was
It
fine.
just went
Like
away, right? Yeah.
yeah, instantly. Like and I was like, I don't want to stop talking. Come on, let's talk some more.
Right?
And so
Yeah.
I started my first live was 7 hours, so, that
Yeah, I
was
remember that. I
that
remember that.
was so sick.
Rachel was just going and going and going.
Oh,
I was
yeah.
like, yo, this is crazy. And you read every single comment
I
too.
know, that was
She
insane.
read she read every single comment. And yo, I remember like I had put a comment in there
Oh, no.
uh and and literally like because I was doing something and I kept having to like come back and I kept coming back and looking, and I was like, yo, she still hasn't gotten to my comment yet. And I looked at the live chat, and it's like, my comment was so far down where you were. And I was like, oh my God, this nigga. Yeah. And yes, I have loved that about your platform. You read every single comment that
Oh,
people
wow.
put out there, and I think that's super dope because it adds to the interactivity of your channel, and I'm sure that your audience very much appreciates that.
I think so. I don't know if I can always do it, and I don't read absolutely every single one. Sometimes I have to skip. Um, but it is, I'm not sure how I'll go, like, in the future, but for now, I'm doing my best. Just so yeah, I know that it really does matter because I do enjoy when I'm on a stream and um the person, if it makes sense, because if I'm responding to somebody else, I don't want, but if it makes sense, sometimes it's nice to have your name heard, just once, that, oh, like, I contributed, or I'm a part of the community, and it like I said, it meant so much to me when Syl did it, and I was like, oh wow, that's really sweet. Um, and also like anytime I was on your chats that you'd read a lot of my comments, and I've been on I watch a lot of YouTube because that is my main um I don't really get a chance to use TV very much. So
Mm.
YouTube is my TV, if you will. And I do watch a lot of lives, and I participate in a lot of chats. And to be very honest, a lot of live streams where they're doing like hundreds of people um, uh, commenting, it is it's almost impossible for them to
Yeah.
read. But some
It
people
does
do
get
it.
to a certain point where it's like, I can't read everything, but at the same time, as long as there's that effort there to kind of highlight people's questions and add to the interactivity level of the show, I think that's what's mainly important.
Yes, and it's very especially very difficult for when you have a guest, um, to
Yes,
do both.
yes.
Yeah, because you can't, like, the guest and then that trips me up a lot, but it's also, again, the skill of doing over and over and over, you get just better, at it, and
Yeah.
hopefully, hopefully that's happening for me, and I'm getting better and better
Right.
at it.
Yeah. That's why I kind of like just having conversations instead of just a whole bunch of questions kind of laid out, because sometimes these talks can kind of take you in a certain directions, and then when you have a live audience, when you have the people asking questions, sometimes you got to just go on a side tangent for like 20, 30 minutes, and
Yeah.
it would make it harder to kind of be able to bring the conversation back if it wasn't in that format. But speaking of that, I want you guys to start putting your questions and comments
Mm,
that you want me to ask Retro in the chat, and
yay.
we'll do a little lightning round of questions before we start wrapping up. Uh, but in the chat, they are agreeing, right? That it shows you keep an eye out for certain comments, and also Talati is saying, for me, effort and trying goes a long way in content creations, especially live streams. So
Mhm.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. But Retro, before they start getting into their questions, I'm going to ask you another question that might, this was the big one that I was talking about, right?
Uh-oh.
You can only
Mhm.
name one movie, Retro.
What?
What is the best movie of all time? You're,
Terminator 1984.
oh, like, hey, she came right off the top of the head with it. Terminator 1984. That's it. Okay, what is it about Terminator 1984 that makes it the best movie ever in your opinion, Retro? I want you to expound on this for as long as you need to get your point across.
Well, first of all,
Convince
no one
me. Let's say I'm like, Terminator was, it was great, but best movie ever, Retro. Like, convince me that Terminator 1984 is the best movie ever.
well, okay. We'll start off with this. One thing that you cannot get out of your mind after seeing it is the exoskeleton coming out of that fire. And the
Mm.
music that accompanies it. It's like, dun-dun, dun-dun, and it comes out. It's like, you're like, oh my God, it didn't die in that explosion.
Oh man, that's great.
Yeah, that is a moment that's really like woven into your mind. But also, there are so many iconic scenes in that movie that has shaped pop culture, and uh, one of the most iconic scenes is definitely the club scene where Arnold is scoping out his victim, and then it has this like really cheesy 80s music in the background, and everybody's in slow motion going like this. It's like it's the best. Linda Hamilton's hair, for one thing, needs its own. That's a whole nother subject matter. It's just so 80s and perfect. And what I was trying to understand about the movie, was it Dark Fate? No, was it Dark Fate? Not Dark Fate, but Genesis. Why they didn't give Emily, what's her name? The girl who played a younger version of
Was it Amelia Clark?
Amelia Clark. Yeah. Why didn't they give her the epic hair? That would have sold it.
I'm gonna be honest. I didn't even see Terminator Genesis. Like, I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna sit here and hold you. I'm not gonna sit here and lie. Terminator Genesis. I was like, this was like,
Yes. Yes. I hear you.
right? Yeah,
But I think there's so many moments that are great. Like, I'll be back.
oh yeah,
And the Terminator just taking out all the Sarah Connors, not knowing which one he's gonna it was really the one that he needed to get to. That was really scary and really played out like a horror movie. And Kyle Reese, like the way Michael Biehn played that character was just like, whoa, you felt him. And he was like, the Terminator will always come after you. You're like, okay. He was very, very insistent and very he was dramatic, but not over the top where you're laughing. He was serious. He saw something, right? You knew that he experienced pain and suffering.
yes.
And it was all the terror was in his eyeballs, and every fiber of his being. And that's kind of the stuff that I feel sometimes is missing today, is like I kind of like you need good actors to pull that off
Yes.
with that kind of ferocity. And all of the scenes from the future, they were all ridiculously really good. Like I could not stop thinking about the way how terrifying it was.
Yeah.
It was extremely terrifying. So yes, there are so many layers of and elements of that movie that's just will always be fiery imprints into my mind. I will never be able to get the whole factory situation of at the factory where she finally gets the Terminator.
Yeah.
Like that whole thing where she turns around from being this like scared person to like I need I have to do this myself. And she gets rid of the Terminator.
Very capable, and then by the time that she gets to the second movie, she's just like a total badass. Like,
oh yeah, she's
super dope.
Wonderful. Yeah.
Right.
Wonderful character development, and you root for her the whole time. And even when she makes a dumb move, like calls her mom, you're like, oh, she doesn't know how bad this really is,
You're right.
I mean, and that was terrifying. Like she's talking to her mom, and everything seems to be cool. It's like, oh, that everything seems to be okay. And then you see the panning across the room that somebody has broken in, and there's the Terminator pretending to be the mom. It's like, oh man. It's just so like well done. James Cameron killed it on that one. He did.
Right. And you brought up Michael Biehn and how powerful that his performance was. was his performance better in Terminator 1984 or in Aliens?
Yes. Whew.
Because that's a tough one.
Yeah, Hicks, right? Oh man, Hicks was
Yes, yes,
amazing.
yes.
Uh,
Hicks.
um, I think it was. I think it was. I think it was better in Terminator because he got to like have more of a center backstory and all that stuff,
Okay,
and he's like
okay.
part of the lore. Whereas I think in
Yes.
Aliens, he's not so much. He's just a support anchor
He's
for.
he's like the supporting character, right? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, I think
Well,
just
he's a supporting character in Terminator 2, but it's not like he has more of a backstory and he has a much more defined role in that movie.
yeah, yeah, and
Yes.
his like just the way his eyes were like super like freaked out when he would talk about his past. I was like, "Oh my God, get this guy some therapy." He was like he was a mess, but
Trauma.
he
Who
he
hurt you, bro? The answer is everything that hurt me.
yeah, yeah, it was just great. The story for that movie is just the build, the lore that it was created in that one story was just incredible. So that's why I like the Terminator so much is just the great starting point for a great franchise, you know. But I think ultimately it really only had two movies that really really landed the plane. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, and what's funny is I didn't even mind Salvation, right? A lot of people didn't like that movie. I thought it was okay. But yeah, there's really just two Terminator films, right? Those
Yeah.
those first two, right? But yes, I want to thank you for answering that question and
Oh
doing
yeah.
it so eloquently. Let's get to some of these chat questions. Mama Bear Art Doll says Star Wars or Star Trek and why? Retro Nerd Girl.
Ah man. Dang, that's another one. That's a tough one. I would say Star Trek, um, but old Star Trek, not new Star Trek. Because I think old Star Trek is better than
William
anything.
Shatner.
Yeah, William Shatner and um, yeah, I think like anything TOS or TNG, those two are my favorites because uh, anything that came out of those two eras really is better than anything that has come out now, in my opinion, and for both of the franchises. And Star Wars still has my heart with the original, but the original series. But I do love yes, I do love myself some early Trek.
Absolutely, absolutely. Bad Dan says retro. If WBD and Netflix made a deal for the Snyderverse, any director's cut, e.g., Air Cut, the completion of Zack's arc, and one more project in the DCU slash Snyderverse, DCEU slash Snyderverse, which would you pick as like as the one more project outside of the Air Cut and the completion of Zack's arc?
Okay, so it has to be a director's cut.
No, it's just one more project to
Oh,
go
one more.
with. Yeah.
Oh,
Wait, no. Yeah, it says any director's cut, right? Any director's cut, the completion. Oh yeah, no. One more project. Yeah, it says.
oh,
What
one
is
more
one more
project.
project?
Okay,
Yes.
one more project would be. Oh gosh, trying to think if I want like a Man of Steel 2 or the Batman movie. Uh, that's a tough one. That is a tough one. Um, hmm, man, Man of Steel too, I think, because I think everybody's always wanted to see the completion of that character, like meet his full arc. We never
Mhm.
really we never got his full arc. I felt like he was should have that vindication. So yeah, Man of Steel too,
Absolutely, absolutely.
but hopefully we'll
Tiladia,
have both.
right? Tiladia Play says one best retro action movie and why.
um, Ooh, there's a lot, but I really do like the not the, of course the Terminator. I really like the Terminator for everything. No, I'll change it up and I'll say Total Recall, another Arnie movie. It had lots of surprises, great science fiction, and just an incredible ride. It holds up mostly except for one or two scenes that's just like a little bit wonky. But I think on the most part, it was a very ambitious effort. They did a great deal of work with makeup that was, incredible. Quato was pretty eye jaw dropping when seeing that character and a lot of the mutants. So I think that would be my favorite. It's got a nice blend of everything I love in sci-fi, including lots of surprises. I love all the surprises. Michael Ironside, okay, so
Hmm.
love that guy. And yeah, what else can you ask for?
Man. Michael Ironside, Joe. Whenever he's in something, he just really adds a lot of gravitas to it.
Oh yeah,
Like his role in Starship Troopers, right? That's one of my favorite Michael Ironside roles of all time.
oh he's wonderful.
100%.
That yeah.
I only have one rule. Everyone fights, no one quits. You don't do your job, I'll shoot you myself. I love that part. Koopy Malik says, does Retro have a pick for best horror movie?
My favorite horror movie is An American Werewolf in London. Just love the story for that one, and I have a thing for werewolves anyway, and vampires and werewolves. But I do love the way it gets a little wacky sometimes. Those dream sequences, you gotta have to kind of pick it apart a little bit and see what the director's like trying to tell you is going on in David's mind with those weird dream sequences. And
Mhm.
also, it was funny. It's got the comedy. There's a romance in there, and that incredible transformation scene, along with great music. There was great music in that film as well. So, just absolutely adore that movie.
Absolutely, absolutely. Necron, if you're talking about Terminator Genesis, the likelihood of me watching that movie, bro, we got too much other stuff to watch, especially on Netflix. You know what I'm saying? Y'all know I love me some engaging with Netflix, but I don't know about Terminator Genesis right now. I got too much. Got to keep it a buck. Retro Josh Herrera says, "Have you
Oh,
watched all of Batman the animated series?"
no, I haven't. Yeah, I haven't watched all of it. I suppose that's a recommended, right?
Yes, yes, it's a hugely recommended show. Man, it is one of the greatest shows of all time. Retro.
I
Uh,
heard.
it it's like beyond the animation thing. This show broke ground in so many different ways. It's created so many spin-offs. I believe it was like the first. It was definitely the first kids cartoon show to ever had like a movie release in theaters. But I believe it's one of the first TV shows that had a movie. released in theaters, like while it was still going on as well. And when you look at the impact of the show on pop culture and Kevin Conroy's impact as Batman, Mark Hamill's impact as the Joker, the impact of Harley Quinn on pop culture, who she was literally created in that show. It's just a top tier level show, and it is truly like one of the best shows of all time. 100%. It goes beyond animation. Retro, there's this one episode where I swear to you, like I'm sitting there watching it, and Batman is like, he's been chasing this mobster and trying to find him and trying to, you know, trying to break up his enterprise or whatever. And he's literally like, he gets the mobster in his custody pretty much, and he takes this dude to this rehab center, and he's like showing him that his son is in rehab from the drugs that he's been pushing, and he's like having this conversation with him, and I'm just like, wait a minute, like it's a kids show, and he's sitting there like it's a kids show. And he really got his, because he's like really having like this like deep conversation with him about the impact that he's having like on his son and the community. And I was just like, wow, this is, like as an adult, like there's so many themes in that show for you to chew on and really like, think about. It's truly special. It's truly special. And yes, you should definitely watch that. It's coming to Netflix in the UK and in Ireland on my birthday, actually. I'm trying to figure out something where we can kind of watch it or something, because I feel like that would be dope. But it is a truly special show. And yes, you should most definitely watch it.
It's on my list. I just wrote it down.
I couldn't recommend it more, right? Honestly. We got Bat Dan. Bat Dan, I'm only gonna read this question because we're doing this and I feel like I have to. But hey, Retro, do you feel that Obi-Wan gave up?
Well, he did give up because he had to.
Thank you, right? Like, bro, like, what do you want? What do you want? This man then killed younglings. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's literally sitting there threatening to kill. Like, what are we supposed to do? Are we supposed to really sit here and keep trying to bring this guy back? Oh my goodness. But thank you for that, Retro.
Oh yeah. Anytime.
That guy said 3 boob lady. That is one of the greatest practical effects in all of cinema.
The greatest?
One of the greatest practical.
Oh man. Yeah, I remember that they tried to do this like again for the new remake. They did, and
I didn't see that either, Retro. I refuse. I actually heard. You know what? I'm not gonna lie though. I've heard it's actually pretty good from people that have watched.
Really?
It. Yes, I did hear that it was actually pretty cool.
Okay.
Wait, or am I mistaken? I think that I remember hearing that it was actually pretty good.
Okay.
One that I actually thought was pretty cool too, that for some reason a lot of people didn't like, but I thought it was straight, was I thought the RoboCop remake was pretty cool.
Oh. I heard that people like it was like mixed reviews, but most people liked it.
Yeah, it was a bit different, but yeah, I thought it brought some cool stuff. And hey, we still have the old movie. Like, it's not like the old movie is going anywhere. We still have
right.
it. It's fine for them to try to bring these concepts to a new audience, as long as it's not disrespectful and kind of
They better not remake Demolition Man. I would be very angry.
You don't want to see a new Simon Phoenix, right?
Nobody can replace that guy. No, 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 no.
No,
Replacement
absolutely
life
not.
will always be Simon Phoenix.
DOA said you must not be a Predator fan. Is that true?
I like the first Predator. I
Okay.
didn't really, yeah, I didn't get to see all the other Predators. It's not
I like the
really like,
first two.
okay, the two,
Hmm.
the first two, because I know at some point they get into a spaceship and we get to the Predator world, and there's a lot of stuff
Yeah,
going on. Like,
yeah.
I
No,
don't know.
Predator Two is the one with Danny Glover. Uh, was it Gary Busey is in that film as well. Uh, Bill Paxton is in Predator 2. Yeah, I actually liked the first two.
Okay.
Uh, but the other Predators, I didn't really like that one. But yeah,
Yeah, they did like a Predator alien thing. That was,
yeah, Alien
uh,
versus Predator,
yeah,
absolutely.
yeah, I was
Nathan
out.
says Dawn of the Dead or Army of the Dead.
Army of the Dead. I hate zombies, so.
Not a big zombie fan, right?
No, no. But if we're gonna do it, let's do Army of the Dead. At least some of the zombies are robots.
Right? Yeah. Uh, Eric Ware says, "How does Retro feel about the new Willy Wonka trailer?"
Um, I'm like lukewarm. I don't know what it doesn't look very exciting to me, but who knows? It could be wonderful.
Yeah, absolutely. Sin
Maybe
Havoc
they're
says Batman. Oh, go ahead.
well, I was going to say that maybe they're not revealing that much because maybe they're going to surprise people when they see it. Let's hope.
Mm. Sin Havoc says Batman the animated series. That's a required watch for Batman fans.
Okay.
Retro. That's like the required watch. Like it's like the required watch. I know that I was kind of like in like the target audience for that show when it came out, right? Because I was super young. But no, it's fantastic, Retro. Like you have to watch that show. We have Douglas Murphy here saying The Howling, the one with Jack Nicholson.
Jack Nicholson was in a movie called Wolf, which I
Wolf,
really liked.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh my God. I was literally just
I
talking
think that
about
was
that movie the other day.
1994. Yeah.
It had to be around that time because I was just talking about that movie the other day with my mom because I went with my parents to go see that movie and we went to the Cinerama Dome, that theater that Quentin Tarantino loves. And it's like this big golf ball pretty much like shaped theater, and the acoustics in there are apparently like tremendous. That's the only time that I've ever been there, and it's just yeah, I really don't even remember the film because I was like 7 or something, I think. But yeah, so that movie with Jack Nicholson, Wolf, you actually are a fan of that film.
Oh yeah, I love it. James Spader is in it, and he's a piece of work in it, and it gets to be like it's like a thriller mostly. Michelle Pfeiffer is in it, and it ends with like sort of an interesting. It has a very interesting ending, but it's one of those things where you know that's the end of the story, because yeah, you're not gonna get Jack Nicholson to come back and play a wolf again. This was, and there's also some visuals in there that's pretty freaky and interesting as well at the same time, because I think at the time they were playing with um practical and CGI. So there's a few moments where you're like, what are they doing there? It's really interesting. And I did enjoy those visuals. Now, The Howling is a totally different movie. It came out, I believe, 1981 or 1982. Not sure, one of those. And that is a wonderful movie. That it was pretty much came out about the same time as American Werewolf in London, and it's just got some really great transformation wolf effects. I'm a big fan of that kind of stuff because it's like you're taking these practical, creative art pieces and kind of trying to show like how the human body can turn into this wolf creature. I love that. That's crazy, ridiculously creative.
Right. Bad Dan says all these Obi-Wan sympathizers. Right? The next question is your favorite vampire movie.
Oh, there's a lot. There's quite a bit. I think the one, like any Dracula movie, 1931, Bela Lugosi, it's great. Interview with a Vampire, that was awesome. Dracula, 1979, I believe, with Frank Langella, that was good. I like the underworld movies. They were good.
For some reason, I thought that you were going to say Vampire in Brooklyn.
That was good. I liked it. I liked that movie. Are you kidding me? I reviewed that one, and it was really good. I loved it. That's how much I love vampire movies. I love that movie.
Hey, Vampire in Brooklyn is dope. That's like
I love it.
Classic Eddie Murphy right there, 100%. You got Kadeem Hardison in there, John Witherspoon, right? Like, you got a lot of classic funny characters in there. So
Wes
that's actually
Craven.
a great movie.
Wes Craven directed that movie.
Oh, I actually didn't realize that. That's why that movie's dope. Okay.
Yeah. There's one scene where he's a wolf and he jumps out and scares somebody, and then when they turn around to look at the wolf, there's a shadow of a dog, and then it transforms into a person, and then he gets his jacket and he kind of does like this, and when he does like that, the music turns on. It's like the grooviest music ever. It's like, oh man, this is so cool. It's like little touches like that. That was really kind of cool in the movie. And Angela Bassett was in that movie, and she was like super gorgeous in that movie. Very young, very young.
Yes. Are you a big fan of the Twilight films?
They're okay. Not my favorite. I've seen them all. They're interesting.
I hated those movies. Not gonna lie. I've seen them all. Wasn't a fan. I like two parts in the entire series. Literally 2 parts. The part where she like randomly broke her back. Like that was pretty shocking.
Oh yeah.
And the fight at the end. That was the only part that I thought were dope. And it was just like the rest of it.
Yeah, it was a fight that never existed, actually.
Right, yeah. 100%.
I love that. And I did like all of I like the first movie as far as like when they were just getting to know each other, how corny that was. I did like all the silliness of that. It's real.
That movie was so silly.
It was really silly. But not my favorite series, but I did watch them all.
Absolutely. Sin Havoc says, Retro, what's your favorite anime?
Well, I don't have a lot of experience with anime, but I did love the one that we watched together.
I was just about to bring that up, yo.
Yeah,
Akira,
right?
Akira. Yes.
Was that 1987 or 8? 1980.
Yeah. I think it was 80, somewhere around between like 86 and 88, I think.
Okay.
88.
88.
88.
Okay, yeah.
Yes.
Kira, that was great. There is one that I really like, but it's called oh boy, it's like escaping me, but it's like, let me find out. I think it's Cobra. Oh, well, they pronounce it Cobra,
Hmm.
and it was a TV series, but there was also a movie. And I enjoyed that a lot.
Mama Bear says, yeah, Retro and I need to coordinate a watch along for a certain cartoon. Looks like
Yes.
there might need to be others.
Yeah. I'm trying to figure out how to coordinate, put that into my schedule.
For sure. Bishop says, Retro, who is your favorite female superhero?
Wonder Woman.
Mm.
That's really simple. She had my heart back in 1975.
I was just about to say, were you a big Linda Carter fan?
Oh yeah, yeah.
My mom actually, she speak about how she would be spinning around in her living room doing a little transformation.
Me too. Yeah. I would just spin. I'm like, when am I gonna turn into Wonder Woman? The other one too was the Bionic Woman, because the two of them were
Right.
like a big deal at the same time.
Absolutely, absolutely. Nathan says, "What's your favorite Back to the Future movie?"
Oh, I guess the first one is iconic. So
Mm.
yeah, that's the one I would pick.
Yeah, I actually I loved. I'm like a Back to the Future 2 guy.
What?
That's probably my favorite. See, but oh man, look, when I saw those power lacing shoes when I was young, right? And
Okay.
it's just certain moments in that film that just always stuck out to me. The hoverboards don't work on water unless you got power. It's so many like lines from that film. Uh, him getting fired by his Japanese boss was hilarious, right? He's McFly. It's just
Mhm.
like I just love that movie and him going to the future. Just all the aesthetics of uh the future and all that stuff. I just really loved it. So
Oh
I
yeah.
was I was a little bit more partial towards the second one.
Oh, cool. Yeah,
Especially
the
those power
future
relation shoes, yo. The shoes, y'all have no idea what those shoes did to me.
was.
And when they actually released them, Nike, like back in like 2016 or something, I tried so hard, but they were like so hard to get a hold of and were so expensive. I was like,
Wow.
yo, yeah. And they were starting at like $1,500, and I was like,
What? No.
that's a little bit out of my
That's when you get a regular pair of sneakers
way.
and you make your modifications. That's when.
Right? Matter of fact, I think they came out way before 2016 because wait, what year did they travel to in Back to the Future 2?
I forgot.
Was it was it 2016? I think it was maybe. I'm not sure, but yeah, that was definitely having little Skywalker all up in arms, right? Uh Koopy Malik says retro, your opinion on the Evil Dead series.
Um, the Evil Dead series, I haven't gotten into it yet, but only one that I really have seen is Army of Darkness,
Mhm.
and I loved it. So far so good.
All right, all right. And the last question that we're going to take from the chat is from El Necron, right? Oh, he says best Stallone movie.
Oh wow. Oh man. Demolition Man. Yeah, Demolition Man.
mm,
I was thinking about Cobra. I was thinking about um, Judge Dredd. I do love some Judge Dredd
mm.
with Amanda Sante.
Yeah.
And but yeah, I think Demolition Man is definitely wonderful. In the fact it really did have a lot of future telling that it did, but also some other comedic things that they that 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 was infused in the story.
I love how all the restaurants were Taco Bell.
Yeah,
They had the fast food wars or something like that years before, and Taco Bell went out, and it's hilarious. Uh, Actually, I'm gonna sneak this last question in because I think that is a great question. Does Douglas Murphy says any love for kung fu movies here?
yes,
Retro, like
yeah.
with you being so into the retro films, the great kung fu movies of the past, right? Like how has that kind of fit in for your love of films, and what's your favorite kung fu movie?
My favorite kung fu movie, I'll answer that one first, is Mystery Chess Boxing. It's really it's really good. The main bad guy is the Ghostface Killer, and
Yeah,
boy, whew, that's so
Wu
good.
Tang. That's what Wu Tang. Wu Tang,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
Ghostface
yeah,
Killer. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And so
Wait, are you a Wu Tang fan? Let me find out the Retro Nerd Girl's a Wu Tang fan.
um, I'm not really that familiar with the band.
Okay.
I know they exist. I know I've heard some stuff from them, but I haven't gotten into
Yes,
their thing.
they got their
Um,
name from a whole bunch of older classic kung fu movies.
yes, yes,
That's where a
older.
bunch of their names came from, right?
Yeah,
Including Ghostface Killer.
yeah, definitely this one. I was like, oh, so that's where they came from. Yeah.
Yeah,
And so there's when I was little, I think it was Saturday or Sunday, one of those days, they had um there was like a lull in the schedule on TV and like in my home. I think my mom was either like sleeping late or she was doing something, and I would always end up like watching kung fu movies, and so there was always a kung fu movie every. I think it was Sunday if I'm not mistaken, and so you grow up with those movies, and it's like it's part of the culture, especially the 70s, like, I was, like, super, super little, but it was all over the place. People were walking around with katas, with, with gis on, and, um, people were walking around with, a lot of the clothing that would be worn in gyms. And I was like, why why is everybody dressed like that? It just was part of the culture in the 70s. Like people were actually just walking around with like Asian shoes that you go to Chinatown and buy Asian shoes,
yeah.
um, and wear it with those white socks.
People was like using nunchucks and stuff. Yeah, people learning how to use nunchucks and stuff, like all in the hood. It was
Yeah,
people in like LA walking around with nunchucks. Apparently back then, I used to hear stories about it all the time. Like
yeah,
people
yeah.
walking
It
around here
was
with nunchucks.
huge. And I think partly because of Bruce Lee and him making it really like popular, and then
Yes.
all of the movies that came from that time period, they were doing stuff on wires, and they were doing all sorts of weird acrobats way before Hollywood was, and so a lot of there was a spectacle to it. I remember once I was taken to the movies when I was maybe 3 or so, and there was this movie that I saw, and really, actually, this movie should be my favorite, but I do like Mystery of Czech Boxing quite a bit more. Um, this movie was called Revenge of the Shogun Women, and it I really should not have been watching that movie. It was 3D, number one, And there were some scenes in it that was really racy and inappropriate. But it was so impactful because it was about these women who transformed themselves into fighters.
Mm.
Their village had been taken over or had been invaded by this gang, and they were out for revenge. And the leader of this gang was super, super like tough. Like you could not beat this guy. And his thing was he had a ponytail, and he would actually use his ponytail to kick your butt. Like he would swing it and it's like slap you in the face, and you're like, ah, I'm dead. So it was just one of those things. I had never seen anything so wild before in my life. And I still have not seen anything like this ever before. And so it's really like one of those things that leaves a big imprint in your mind. And there was a lot of movies like that. Like there was another movie starring Carter Wong, uh, and it was called Born Invincible. And it's so good because there's Carter Wong plays this unique. Um, I wouldn't really call him a mercenary, but he's this really great. This guy is really great at kung fu, and no one can defeat him. So he's basically called invincible. He's got white hair and white eyebrows. And the thing is that when he beats you, when he's about to kill you, deliver the last blow, he laughs like a hyena. It's really super funny and weird. He just starts laughing, and it's like ridiculous. So it has like this weird thing, but his training, they show you his training and everything, and it's like, wow, this is incredible because they also show you like certain motifs throughout the story, so you know when he's about to deliver his killing blow because he does
Hmm.
these certain moves and he leaves like a mark in the sand, and it's that peace, that peace sign with the squiggly line right there. It's
Yeah,
just so wild. I was like, oh my gosh. So he's like drawing while he's kicking your butt.
making a art piece. You're right with your
Yeah,
painting.
yeah, there's so many, that I can't think of everything now, but it's like the 36 uh levels I think the 36 levels of um Shaolin, like things like that. They're just so many really great movies. I can't really remember all of them, but those three are the ones that I remember the most, and they left a big impression.
Right? And you were talking about the 36, that was the name of the
Chambers,
Wu-Tang Clan's first, that was the name of their first album was Into the 36 Chambers.
yes,
Wu-Tang.
36 Chambers, yeah, of Shaolin.
Yes.
That's like insane. And then there's another one which is like revenge. Whew, uh, it's like Revenge of the Shogun Warrior or something, and it's like insane. Like you think you're following the good guys, um, the guys who should win the battle, right? But it doesn't always. It does. It's like it's one of those movies that twists the end just a little, and you're like, "What? I did not expect that."
Man, I am shocked, Retro. You're from New York. You got a love for these retro kung fu movies, and you not really in the Wu Tang. That's crazy. Like I would have thought that would have went hand in hand, right?
Oh yeah, I don't know. I kind of skipped that part.
Yo, look, this has been a wonderful conversation, Retro. I want you to kind of let the people know what you have coming up and where they can catch you at. I got a link to your channel and your Twitter
Oh,
down in
thank you.
the description, but let the people know what you got coming up and where they can find you at, and just speak about your platform before we
Oh,
get on out of here.
sure, sure. again, I review retro movies, so I can always see my backlog or my library of reviews that I've done already. I've done over 100 of them. And then now live streams Wednesdays, Fridays, and Saturdays. Wednesday mornings, I do a sort of modern take of what's going on in entertainment news. Right now, looking at the Ahsoka show, looking at other news headlines that are happening. Then on Fridays, I usually do some sort of discussion about a retro content piece. Right now, we're looking at AI, robots, and cyborgs in cinema. And then on Saturdays, I always do a watch party, and it's usually some interesting movie. Tonight, I did Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, which was quite touching. Lots of tears to be had.
Oh
And
man.
let me see what I can tell you what the next one will be next week.
If you want to view paradise, simply look around and view it.
Look at you
I
singing.
love that song. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I just really love that song. And as soon as you said Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, it's just, oh my goodness.
Yeah, there's something baked into that movie, especially with the music, that it was sorely missed in the remake. Just did not have those classic tones that you never forget, and also that song in particular hits you in the heart, right?
Yes, it
It
does.
really does, it hits you in the heart, and uh, I hope we get back to doing songs like that for movies where we get a song that's original and does hit you in the heart. That's one thing I have to say about retro movies is that uh, they do have the ability to do that with something emotional, right? We want to
Mhm.
get to that emotional core, um, and so I think without having that around anymore, we've lost a little something in cinema. But I digress on that. But the next week, I'm going to be um, doing a watch party for Logan's Run.
Oh my goodness. Logan's Run. That's going to
Yeah,
be
so
amazing.
I love that movie so much.
Right. Oh my goodness. Yes. Make sure that you guys head on over to Retro Nerd Girls platform. Make
Thank
sure
you.
that you subscribe, you turn your notifications on, and you check out her content. And if you find, look, I challenge all of you guys to go find a movie that you know and love that she's done a breakdown for, and come back and tell me that after watching her breakdown that you feel the same way that you felt about that movie going into her review. I guarantee you she's gonna bring up about 50, 11 things that you never realized and you never thought about. And it just changes your outlook on a lot of films that you may have seen multiple times. So that's why I love her platform, and I wanted
uh,
to, kind of help highlight her and what she does. And it's always great being able to have these conversations with you. I truly cherish these moments. If you
uh,
haven't seen it, she did the Oppenheimer review with me on my channel.
oh
So,
yeah,
right,
that was so much
that was
fun.
Oh yeah, man! Look, I tripped out when I heard you hadn't seen the movie yet. I was like, retro, like this is crazy. You have not seen this movie. So, yes, that was very much fun, and I think that I had a lot of fun tonight as well. Every time that I get to speak with you, it's always super
Oh,
dope, and we got to
likewise.
work together again in the near future. It's always amazing. Uh, so head on over to her platform, check it out immediately, and you subscribe if you haven't already. As for myself, I have another stream coming probably tomorrow, right? We about to be ramping up on content over here very soon, and I am enjoying being able to be with the community and to have these conversations. Even though it's been a bit of a tough time this past week, um, we can get through these things together as long as we keep moving forward and pushing for Mikey's legacy to be as big as it possibly could. So,
Absolutely.
thank all you guys for being here. Make sure that you hit that GoFundMe if you can for Mikey Sutton's family that I will be putting in the description, and it has been throughout the chat this entire stream. So much love to all you guys. We will get at you guys next time. From Retro and I, we will be seeing you guys later. Peace.
Take it easy, guys.